Sometimes, the worst pain doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the person you vow to share your life with. This is the story of Ifeoma, a gentle woman whose husband broke her with words every single day. He thought he could crush her spirit, but what happened in the end shocked even him. Ifeoma was the kind of woman people turned to look at when she walked past. She was slim, radiant, and filled with laughter. She carried herself with a grace that drew Tunde to her. Back then, he had showered her with praise. He had called her my jewel, my queen, the love of my life. But marriage has a way of testing the body and the soul. After 3 pregnancies, long nights of breastfeeding, and endless days of cooking and caring for children had changed Ifeoma's once youthful figure. Her hips were wider, her arms softer, her belly rounder. She no longer had the time, money, or energy for salons, makeup, or long hours at the gym. Still, in her heart, she believed love was not about appearances. She believed her husband would see the sacrifice behind her body. The nights she stayed awake when the children had fever, the mornings she rose before dawn to prepare his meals, the quiet endurance of carrying his household on her back. But Tunde saw none of that. To him, her changed body was not a badge of sacrifice, it was a burden. Every morning, when Ifeoma came out to serve his food, his eyes scanned her, not with love, but with disgust. His words were sharp, almost rehearsed. "Look at you. Is this the same girl I married? You look like someone's grandmother." When she tried to laugh it off, his voice grew louder. "You have let yourself go. Other men are enjoying their wives, slim and beautiful. And me, I come home to this." The words stung more than any slap ever could. At first, Ifeoma tried to fight back. "Tunde, is this what marriage means to you? Can't you see what I've done for this family?" But he only laughed a wicked laugh. "Done what? Who asked you to grow fat in the name of sacrifice? Don't hide behind excuses." Some days, he refused to walk beside her in public. He would step ahead, pretending he didn't know her. At family gatherings, his jokes were daggers, wrapped in laughter. "She eats like she's feeding 5 people, he would say, laughing with his friends. And everyone would laugh. Everyone except Ifeoma. But the deepest cuts were not in public, they were in private. At night, when the house was dark and quiet, Ifeoma would press her face into her pillow, letting silent tears soak the fabric. She asked herself questions she couldn't answer. Am I no longer beautiful? Am I no longer worthy of love? Is this what my life would be? Her children were too young to notice the cracks in their parents' marriage, but they felt the silence. They felt the tension. Ifeoma, the once joyful woman, was shrinking, not in size, but in spirit. Each insult chipped away at her confidence. Each laugh stole a piece of her heart. She moved through her own home like a shadow, doing everything right, yet never being enough. And in those moments of loneliness, she realized something bitter. Sometimes the deepest wounds are not caused by strangers, but by the person who vowed to love you forever. The distance between Ifeoma and Tunde didn't happen overnight. It crept in slowly, like a shadow stretching across their home. At first, it was the small things. He no longer greeted her warmly when he came back from work. His eyes would slide past her as though she were invincible. He stopped eating her meals, complaining that they were too oily or too heavy. He started ironing his shirts more carefully, spraying on perfume he never used to wear, humming songs under his breath. Ifeoma noticed. Women always notice. At the office, there was a new secretary. She was slim, young, with legs that seemed to go on forever. Her name was Anita. And while Ifeoma spent her evenings chasing after restless children and scrubbing stains from uniforms, Anita spent her evenings sending playful messages to Tunde, reminding him that he was still handsome, young and desirable. Soon, Tunde didn't bother to hide it. He would linger at work late, returning home with the scent of a woman's perfume clinging to his shirt. When Ifeoma asked, "Where were you?" he would snap back, "Stop questioning me. You are not my mother." The cruelest wound came one evening at a friend's birthday party. The hall was alive with music, the air thick with the smell of grilled suya and champagne. Women slide across the floor in sparkling gowns, their waists slender, their hair styled to perfection. Ifeoma arrived in her old white lace, holding Tunde's arms. She had tried to fit into it, but the fabric clung uncomfortably, exposing every curve she wished to hide. The whispers began the moment they walked in. "See how fat she has become. That man will soon take another wife." Ifeoma heard every word. She felt the glances slicing into her, and then, before her eyes, Tunde did something that broke her completely. He let go of her hand, then walked straight to Anita, the secretary in a red dress, and wrapped his arms around her waist. Laughter rippled across the room. Cameras flashed. Guests shook their heads, some in pity, some in amusement. Ifeoma stood alone by the drinks table, clutching her handbag as if it were a shield. Her cheeks burned, her throat tightened, but she forced herself not to cry. Not here, not in front of them. She left the party early, returning to an empty home. Sitting on the edge of her bed, she peeled off the white gown, staring blankly at the cracked mirror. Her reflection mocked her. Puffy cheeks, heavy arms, a body she no longer recognized. Late that night, Tunde returned, humming, smelling of Anita's perfume. He didn't look at Ifeoma. He didn't say a word. And in that silence, Ifeoma's heart broke in two. She realized the bitter truth. She was no longer the woman he wanted, no longer the woman he admired. To him, she was invincible. The morning after the party humiliation, Ifeoma didn't go to work. She didn't even bother cooking breakfast for the children. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling fan. Her body felt heavy, but her heart was heavier. The words from last night echoed in her mind like a curse. Look at how fat she has become. That man will soon take another wife. And worst of all, the image of her husband holding Anita in public, smiling proudly and pretending as if Ifeoma didn't exist. She pressed a pillow to her face and wept until her chest ached. For the first time, she whispered to herself, "Maybe I'm really finished. Maybe my life is already over." But that afternoon, she found herself wondering. She didn't even plan it. She just walked. Her slippers slapped against the dusty road until she arrived at the outskirts of town, where a small church sat quietly. The wooden cross on its roof leaned slightly, but there was something warm about it. Inside, the benches were half broken, the floor cracked, but the air was peaceful. Ifeoma slipped into the back row and sank into her seat, her face buried in her hands. She didn't pray. She didn't sing. She just sat there, tears falling silently. That was when someone touched her shoulder. She looked up and saw Mama Grace, the pastor's wife. A broad-shouldered woman with kind, searching eyes, wrapped in a faded Ankara wrapper. She had seen countless women broken by life, but something about Ifeoma's tears struck her deeply. "My daughter," Mama Grace said softly, "you are not finished. You are only tired. Rest your spirit here." The walls cracked something open inside Ifeoma. She broke down again, sobbing into Mama Grace's arms. It had been so long since anyone held her without judgment. Mama Grace listened. She didn't interrupt. She didn't scold. She let Ifeoma pour out everything. The humiliation, the whispers, the betrayal, the loneliness that choked her every day. When the storm of tears passed, Mama Grace wiped her face with her scarf and spoke firmly, her voice carrying a weight that silenced the despair inside Ifeoma. Listen to me. You are not what they say you are. You are not finished. You are not a disgrace. You are not fat and useless. You are God's daughter. And do you know what that means? You can rise again. The words startled Ifeoma. Rise again. After all this, Mama Grace leaned closer. There is a women's fellowship. Every morning before sunrise, we gather, we walk, we pray, we exercise. Not just for the body, but for the soul. You should come. At first, Ifeoma almost laughed. Exercise. She hadn't jogged in years. Even bending to tie her slippers left her breathless. She wanted to refuse. She wanted to say, Mama, you don't know my pain. But something in Mama Grace's eyes stopped her. They weren't spitting eyes. They were eyes that believed in her. Eyes that saw a woman buried under shame, waiting to be reborn. That night, for the first time in months, Ifeoma slept without weeping. And as the first cock crowed before dawn, she found herself awake, staring at the darkness outside her window. A voice whispered in her heart, go. And she did. She tied an old scarf over her head and slipped quietly out of the house. The streets were still dark, the air sharp with morning chill. At the church grounds, a small group of women had already gathered. They laughed softly, stretching their arms and moving their feet with ease. When the walk began, Ifeoma tried to keep up. 2 minutes later, her chest burned, her legs felt like stone. Sweat rolled down her back and her breath came in sharp gaps. She bent over, clutching her knees, shame flooding her. A boy passing by a bicycle sneered, Mama Jumbo, before riding off. The sting pierced her deeper than the pain in her lungs. But Mama Grace walked over, leaned a firm hand on her shoulder and whispered, ignore them, my daughter. One day, they will clap for you. Ifeoma straightened slowly. Her heart still pounded, but something in her spirit stirred. For the first time in a long while, she felt hope. She took another step, and then another. Months passed. The woman who once healed in wrappers were gone. Ifeoma's body has changed. Her cheeks leaner, her waist firm, her steps light. But it wasn't just her body. Her spirit was stronger, her laughter freer, her eyes were brighter. The day of the women's health gathering arrived. Ifeoma stood at the entrance of the town hall in a simple but fitted dress, her head held high. The whispers began the moment she stepped in. Is that really her? Look at her now. Wow. Is that really Ifeoma? She walked past them calmly. No longer the woman who once crumbled under their stares. On stage, she spoke in a steady voice. For years, I let shame define me. I believed my worth was tied to my size. But today, I stand here to remind every woman, you are more than your body. You are strength. You are grace. You are enough. The hall erupted in applause. Some stood, others wept. Even her husband, seated at the back with shame etched on his face, could not look her in the eyes. Ifeoma smiled, not at him, not at the crowd, but at herself. She had reclaimed her life. The applause rolled on, but within her, a quieter sound arose above it all, the steady beat of freedom. And so, Ifeoma's journey came full circle. She was once mocked, abandoned and humiliated by the very man who had promised to love her. She was once the woman who cried herself to sleep, believing she was unworthy of love, unworthy of respect, unworthy of life itself. But pain became her fuel, insults became her fire, and slowly, step by step, she built herself again, stronger, wiser and more beautiful than she ever imagined. In the end, she didn't need revenge. She didn't need validation from her husband or his mistress. She found something far greater, her own voice, her own power, and her own freedom. Her story is a reminder to every woman watching. You are more than their laughter, more than their insults, more than their rejection. You are enough. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to the end of this video. Please, if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, kindly subscribe for more true life African stories.